Hello! I am Shoko, and today we are doing the 10 art styles challenge, which I've been wanting to do for actual years, ever since I started drawing, so I've been pretty excited for this video. In case you've never heard of this challenge, it's pretty self-explanatory. You pick one character, often artists choose their own character, like their Sona, for example, and you draw them in different art styles of your choosing, from video games, cartoons, movies, whatever you want. I'll be drawing my little clown Sona you're seeing right now, hi! In 10 different styles, from shows and games that I love. So let's jump right in because I'm so excited for you to see which art style I've picked out. But let's first start with my own style, to get something to compare to. So I draw pretty stylized. I guess it's a bit of a mix of Western cartoons and anime. When I started drawing, I referenced a lot of cartoons, but now, especially recently, I watch more animes, so my style shifted towards that too. So yeah, I'd say it's a healthy mix of both. My line art can be pretty thick, and I always line with a slightly textured brush. I like bright colors, but not too saturated either, and as you can see from my little Sona here, I really like pink. I keep my shading and highlights nice and saturated, and recently I started adding little notches to it, and I really like it. I think it brings some more interest and texture to the overall drawing in a really easy way. My proportions are definitely stylized, but not too exaggerated, just enough to be more fun to draw. The faces I draw are definitely more exaggerated. I like to draw cute faces, and same thing for the poses I choose. I try and push the pose to make them cute and fun. And you'll see that I love doing the one-legged pose. Okay, starting the actual art styles with one that should be obvious. It's what I started my channel with, it's One Piece. But One Piece has had many styles over the years, so the specific one I chose is the fan letter one. I know the director of that episode is Megumi Ishitani, but I'm not sure who the actual artist of that style is. But anyway, we all know fan letter is a wonderfully directed and beautifully animated episode, and I thought it was the perfect style for this challenge. I also think it's fairly close to my own style, not saying I am anywhere close to being as skilled as the incredible artists who work on fan letter, but it did feel pretty comfortable for me to draw in. It's quite a loose style that leaves room for very fun poses and expressions, and as I said earlier, those are things I love drawing. I also love the way hair is drawn in this style. It's very stylized and it looks just beautifully animated. So for my Sona's hair, I added a little tuft on the top of her head, and I made her pigtails curlier. I think they look so cute. I of course based the glasses on the ones the protagonist of fan letter wears. I really love those chunky frames. For the proportions, I mean, it is One Piece, so I had to give my Sona more noticeable boobs and really shrink her waist. While I was drawing, I even showed it to my brother, who responded that it was good, but she still had too much room for her organs. So I shrink the waist a little more. But I absolutely love how they draw hands in this style, so I was very much looking forward to drawing them, even if one of them ended up being halfway covered. The line art is definitely thinner than mine, and it also has no line weight, which, in case you don't know, line weight or line width is if you push harder with your pen/stylus, you get thicker lines, and you get thinner lines if you don't press as hard. It's what pen pressure is used for in digital art. But they do have some bits of colored line art here and there. And they also put little lines in the hair for the highlights. For my actual Sona's design, you'll see I try and change her look to match the universe she's supposed to be in. For this one, she doesn't change much. I just added the sasher on her hips and changed the frames of her glasses. But you'll see that her design changes a lot in certain style. This style was one of the firsts I did, so I'm not the most confident with it, but I think you can tell what style it's supposed to imitate. And I think it turned out really cute no matter what. This art style is much more niche than the previous one, but it's from a cartoon that I really love and that I find extremely underrated. It's OKKO, Let's Be Heroes. If you've never heard of it, it's a cartoon that ran on Cartoon Network at around the same time as Adventure Time and Steven Universe did. By the way, the creators of OKKO and Steven Universe are married. I think that's a cute fun fact. But yeah, OKKO is a show about a boy named Keo who wants to become the best hero ever. It's a world where everyone can be a hero. It's like a normal thing in their society, I guess. So we follow him as well as his best friends, Rad and Enid, who all work at this little bodega that's right in front of a villain's lair. So you know that makes for really fun moments. It's a show filled with great characters, jokes, and really sweet moments at times. It's great. I will forever despise Cartoon Network for cancelling OKKO. That was an actual crime on their part. But okay, talking about the actual style of the show, so it's very stylized and quite simple. It uses big shapes in its characters, so I simplified my sona quite a bit to fit in and got rid of any details that might be too much. And not all characters in this show have extremely simple designs. Some definitely have more details, but I thought of my sona as like maybe a background character with a few speaking lines, so I definitely didn't want her design to be too much. I think her clown costume still fits very well, since there are all sorts of wacky design in this show, so she really wouldn't feel out of place. The line art was pretty simple, since it kinda looks like the same type of brush I use, so I was pretty cozily in my comfort zone. I also didn't do any shading, since characters usually don't have any, except for like dramatic scenes or environment that would require shading. But I think I did pretty well on this one. I do wish I gave her a less static pose, but whatever. Think of it as like a reference sheet pose. Danganronpa was the first style that popped into my head when I was thinking of what styles to do for this challenge. And is also probably the one I struggled the most with. It was the first one I started working on, did some sketches for it, and really did not like them, so I did a bunch of the other styles before coming back to this one and actually finishing it. I do really like the end result, but it was kind of hell to work on. In case you don't know what Danganronpa is, it's a visual novel mystery solving game, murder mystery to be precise. You're stuck in a school, well for 2 of the games at least, with a class of students and you have to kill each other to get out. Fun! Danganronpa has a very bad reputation online, but honestly I do think they're very good games, especially for the second one, who's my favorite. So, for my sona's design, I wanted her outfit to be more detailed, and in a way more fashionable, I guess. The white color especially felt right for Danganronpa. I based it off of Chihiro's color, and talking about other characters, I based my glasses off of Toko's, and I based the overall drawing off of Chiaki. I think it's very noticeable. But looking up characters who have pieces of what you need for your character, and copying it is kinda the best way to copy an art style. At least it worked really well for me. Chiaki is also very similar to me, both physically and personality-wise. I knew of her before playing the game because my best friend would tell me how similar I am to her. I mean, even her manner of speech feels like me. But anyway, Danganronpa's art style has very thin lines who get thicker at some point. I could not discern the logic as to when, but they do get thicker. I should mention too, I'm mostly copying Danganronpa 1 and 2's art style. The style shifts a bit in the third game, so yeah. It's a style with more quote-unquote realistic proportions, and was overall more details compared to mine, so I had to look out for that. The eyes, of course, are very iconic, with the added circle in the pupils. I knew I needed to get those right. Danganronpa also has a very unique way of drawing hair, so I tried to mimic that too. Had to get the hair shining as well. Even though looking at the final picture I could have made it a bit more obvious, it's a bit too faded I think. And of course I could not forget about the final touch, which is the screen tone overlay. It's not as noticeable as times, but I think it really ties everything together. Also, what do you think my clone girl would be? Killer, victim or survivor? Personally I see her as either a first victim or one of those kind of useless characters who somehow survived the whole game. But yeah, even though I struggled with it, I'm very satisfied with how this turned out. I think she could easily pass for a fan game sprite. Oh my god, I've been so excited to talk about this one! So, Wakfu is a French cartoon. It's set in a fantasy world where we follow a boy named Hugo, who who has the power to make portals and do all kind of cool stuff with those portals. He starts his adventure in search of his biological family, and he travels with people who very soon become his best friends. It's my childhood favorite and is still one of my favorite series of all time. It's so great. There are so many incredible characters, it's such a cool world, the fight scenes are amazing, and it has some of the best villains ever. Actually, Nox, my goat. Everyone needs to watch Wakfu now. But anyway, let's start talking about my Sona. So obviously, I wanted her to fit in with the world and the characters. And Yugo, the main character, is an Heliotrope. That's the race who's able to make a portal. So that's what I made my Sona because the Heliotropes have those big hats I love so much, and it was a perfect replacement for a jester hat. I thought the usual pigtails would be a bit much with the hat, so the fluffy part of the hat is also a replacement for the pigtails. I tried to make the rest of her clothes a good blend of her regular outfit and typical Wakfu style fashion / clothing. The thigh-highs are stolen from Eva, and the shoes are from Yugo. I also changed the ropes, crosses things both Yugo and Eva have to kind of form hearts, like I have on my regular Sona's design. One thing I've always loved about this style for some reason is the teeth. All characters have little fangs and I find that adorable, so I was very happy to add that detail to my Sona. For the actual art style though, it has very thin line art with no line weights except for the eyes / eyelashes. It's also a show that uses puppet animation, so in some screenshots you can see bits of the lines missing because of the limbs moving, for example. But I didn't do that with my Sona. It's also a more angular art style, which I really enjoy. You can really see it around the shoulders, arms and legs. And the characters are fully cel-shaded, which I'm used to drawing, so it didn't give me much trouble. I really enjoy doing this one. I think if you know the show, you can pretty easily tell that it's supposed to be Wakfu, and I also really like the design I ended up with. I think she looks so cute. Bug time, time to become Bug! Just like the rest of the world, I was busy playing Silksong during the entire month of September. I took my sweet time with it. So I knew I had to turn my Sona into a little bug, and this one was so fun to do. It was by far the easiest and fastest out of all of these. I got a nice little break and I love how it turned out. You'll see, but I think my little clown bug is so cute. I got some help from my little brother for this design. He's the Hollow Knight fan in my family, so of course I went to him for help. Both for designing my character, but also when I was playing Silksong. Yeah, he did Growl the Great for me. I did not want to deal with all that. Big thanks to him for that. I did all the other bosses myself though. I'm not that awful at the game, I think. But yeah, Hollow Knight has, of course, a much simpler style when it comes to character designs, mostly using simple shapes. I say mostly, there are some exceptions of course, but my Sona had to be a small little guy. I think she'd be some random NPC. Definitely not a boss, just look at her. So I really had to simplify our design for this style, really strip her down to the basics. To me, the most important parts of a design are her jester hat, her clown nose, and her three colors, pink, brown and yellow. White too, but that doesn't really count, I guess. So I kept those in mind while coming up with this design. I decided on making the jester hat the most prominent part of the design, big bug eyes I stole from Sly, a little clown nose of course, and the one part I'm really proud of is her downturned antennas, while replacing her usual pigtails. I think that's super cute. And for her body, she has a pretty common body for all the Knight characters. I specifically based mine off of the Flea Master from Silksong. Her arms / sleeves are also based off of the fleece fur. And she has, of course, the stubby little legs. Draw all that with thick, slightly textured line art and minimum shading, and tada! You have my Sona as a whole night bug. Isn't she adorable? I desaturated my color palette for this one, but I feel like her colors are still too bright to really fit in. But she's still probably my favorite one out of the entire bunch. By the way, favorite boss in Silksong is Tormented Trobio. I love him. So, Winx Club, which is a magical girl show except there are fairies instead of magical girls, is one of my favorite childhood shows. Unlike Wakfu though, I haven't watched it since I was a child, but I definitely remember loving it as a child. Especially the early seasons. I don't think I watched a lot of the later ones. But I chose to do this art style because I think it's so unique and cool. Not one that I'm necessarily inspired by, but it's definitely iconic. And part of me also did choose it to dunk on the new reboot because oh my god, what is that? Where did my Winx Club go, because that is not it. Honestly, I think every reboot or style changes or whatever of the Winx have all been downhill, but this one is outrageous in my opinion. I mean, just the quote-unquote alleged AI use for this show is enough to call it trash, but the designs are so bland. Which is a crime to have bad outfits when your show is Winx Club. And that animation. Come on now, what's going on here? Why is everyone so low energy? But I'm gonna stop my little rant here. If you want to complain with me about the reboot, feel free to, but for now let's go back to the OG style. Like I said, this art style is absolutely iconic in my opinion. It's very sharp and can be, I guess, a bit stiff at times. It kind of reminds me of these models you could draw clothes on, which makes sense in a way. It's a very fashion show. The proportions feel very runway models too, with those long legs and very thin waists, of course. The characters sometimes have almost non-existent knees too, and I feel like I didn't deliver on that in the end. She's got 2 normal knees. The lines vary between thick and thin, and they're all colored except for the eyelashes. The Winx also have very sharp and iconic eyes, loved drawing those. For my Sona's design, of course, she had to be a fairy. I turned her big sleeves into the same ones Flora has, she's my childhood favorite by the way, and separated them from her leotard. And instead of the usual pom-poms, she has the same kind of jewels Bloom has. Oh, and I copied Musa's bangs to draw hers. Her shoes get big heels, because of course, and my absolutely favorite part, the one I was most excited about drawing, is the glitter. I think it's such a cute and fun detail that all the Winxes have. I love it so much. I was a bit nervous about the colors, since most of the girls have one main color for their fairy outfit, and my Sona has 3, so I had to modify them a bit. I think it's a bit out there for an actual Winx, but it's just my silly little drawing, it's fine. I'm really happy with the final result. I think she looks great, and I think I matched the style pretty well. The glitter really is the cherry on top. Our next one is Scott Pilgrim. Specifically the anime, Scott Pilgrim takes off's art style. Even if you've never seen Scott Pilgrim, I'm sure you've at the very least seen Ramona Flowers once, and I've probably heard the iconic "if you want to date me, you have to beat my 7 evil exes." And even if it's still named Scott Pilgrim, is only in like 2 episodes of the anime. Ramona is the main character, and I found that very interesting. I really liked the anime. And I really like the art style too. It's got this sort of retro quality to it. And I know we're talking about art style, but the animation is really good too. Especially during certain scenes like the Roxy and Ramona fight sequence. That's definitely my favorite part of the show, it was so good. I should also mention the movie, because that's what made me a Scott Pilgrim fan. I never actually read the comics. I know, fake fan, I'm sorry. But I used to watch the movie all the time with my dad when I was a kid, and I still think it's such a good movie. I especially love how it's edited, it's so fun. I'm glad Roxy was treated better in the anime though. But anyway, for my little Sona, our outfit doesn't change that much this time. I just added a turtleneck, changed the sleeves to arm warmers, and took away some details like the ribbons on her wrists, the detailing at the top of her stockings, and the yellow hearts on her shoes. She also doesn't really have clown shoes anymore, since all the characters in the anime have pointy little feet, so she has to have them too. I based her eyes off of Ramona's, only with less eyelashes, and changed the way I draw pigtails to copy Roxy's ones. I think it looks so cute. I also used Julie as a reference for the glasses. The liner for this one is a mix of thick and thin with big black eyes I really like. Minimal shading for the most part, it really depends on the mood of the scene. And the hair highlight that ties it all together. And to finish everything off, I added noise to the colors and slightly blurred the line art to really make it look like she could be in a screenshot of the show. For some reason, I wasn't very confident at first with this style, but I think she turned out super cute. Ace Attorney is one of my favorite game franchises. In case you don't know, it's a mystery-solving visual novel where you play as a defense attorney. It's also in a weird state, where it's still fairly niche, but it's also been referenced in so many different media. I'm sure you've at least seen the iconic objection one time. I still haven't played every single game, even though I've been a fan for 5 years now. I'm still very late to the games. But I've played the first trilogy, Apollo Justice, and I'm actually currently playing Dual Destinies, aka the 5th game, right here on my channel. I've been streaming it pretty much every Sunday, and it's been so much fun. I'm really enjoying myself. But yeah, they're really great games, and I think that literally everyone should at least try the first game. I actually wasn't sure about doing Ace Attorney for this video at first. I think it's a very iconic game series, but I wasn't sure if the art style itself is that iconic. But then I saw this wonderful artist doing Ace Attorney as part of their own art style challenge, and I recognized the style in like 2 seconds, so that's when I changed my mind. By the way, it's been kind of embarrassing to be working on my own art style challenge at the same time they were posting theirs. I know, you shouldn't compare your art to others, but they're just so good at art. They're like an art style wizard to me. If you haven't seen their art before, I really recommend checking out their account. They've got great stuff. But anyway, let's actually talk about the Ace Attorney style. So this game has some pretty different styles. It has its spin-offs, of course, but mainly it switched to 3D by the 5th game, so I stuck with the first trilogy art style best I could. It has black lines with minimal change in line width. And the shading also changes depending on different version of the game. Older versions add more painterly shading, but the 2019 port, I believe, has more of a clean cel shading look. I did kind of a mix of both, leaning more towards the cel shading look, I'd say. It has fairly realistic proportions, at least comparing to some of the other styles we've done today. And I was able to keep most of the details of my sona. Didn't have to change your costume since you meet so different wacky characters. A clown outfit really isn't that crazy. I also gave her the circle pupils thing. Since Ace Attorney characters have that too, I always forget about it for some reason. In my mind it's a Danganronpa staple. But I was a bit nervous about this one at first. I wasn't sure I'd be able to really capture this style, but I think I did okay. I don't think she'd look too out of place next to the other official full body illustrations. I'm sure the vast majority of you has heard of Madoka Magica, but just in case, it's a magical girl anime popular for subverting the usual magical girl tropes. I only watched it last year, and still haven't watched the movies, but I agree that it's absolutely incredible. Since I watched it so late, it's not something that has influenced me in a major way, but I wanted another anime style who'd be pretty different from the others. And since I haven't really watched a lot of other classic older animes, I thought Madoka Magica would be perfect. The main character is also a cute magical girl with pink frilly clothes, so you know I love it. I thought about turning my sona into a Puella Machi. Please excuse me if I completely butchered that pronunciation. It's the name of the magical girls. But I did this one second to last, and to be honest, I was starting to lose steam. I would have to design her soul gem, figure out her wish, and fully magical girlify her outfit. And I simply didn't have it in me. So I just gave her outfit a bit of that magical girl flair instead. She gets big poofy shorts with frills at the bottom, and I turned her hearts on her stocking in some yellow frills at the top of her stockings. Madoka Magica has very thin line art, which did give me some trouble. I'm used to thicker line art, and it also has more sharp shapes than I expected, on the hair especially. It has a sketchy quality to it I really like, especially the cross-hatching on the eyes, really makes them stand out. The proportions lean more chibi-ish, big head with smaller hands and feet. The head is kind of squashed too, with big eyes that are further apart than usual. I modeled her eyes after Sayaka, and her hair after Madoka. It's pink, she has bangs and pigtails, it was perfect. And the glasses are of course taken from Homura's one. I'm not sure if I copied them perfectly, they have a very unique style to them, It was kind of hard for me to understand how they work. The blush is also an easy way to make it look more like Madoka Magica. They have a very specific way of drawing it. The shading is fairly minimal. It gets more detail on stuff like the frills mostly. And then there's the big highlight in the hair. But I think my little clown looks very cute in this style. The pose is very cutesy too, which helps her fit in. And of course the face was the most important one to get right, which I think I did.
Well, Cuphead and his pal Bugman, they like to roll the dice.
And last but certainly not least, we're doing Cuphead. I considered doing the Cuphead show instead of the game, since they do have their differences, but with all the hours I've spent playing the game, that's what I settled on. And before I get any comments about it, yes, I know, Cuphead did not invent the rubber hose style, I'm just specifically doing Cuphead's take on the style. The world of Cuphead is filled with so many different characters. At first I was stumped about what to do with my sona's design. She could be a cup like our main characters, or a very vast array of creatures and whatever else. But I ended with a human looking character. I know it might be the easy way out, but we already have her as a bug. Let's let her look like herself this time. And like I said, Cuphead has so many different looking characters, I don't think her outfit has to change much. It's just a change of proportions and style, of course. There's already a clown in the game, Bappy, but my girl is so different looking, I didn't really use him as reference. I mostly used the female characters as references. So Cuphead has pretty thick inks, with very little change in line weight. There's a bit, but not too much. The bosses I used as references all have flat colors with no shading, so that's what I did too. I just added a little highlight on her clone nose. Oh, and the eyes with the notch, of course. I used Baroness von Bonbon as reference for that. She does have a white highlight above the colored part of the pupil. Like I said, the outfit doesn't change much, but it is slightly simplified. She doesn't have the dangly ribbons on her wrist, no yellow hearts on her shoes, and instead of the ones on her stockings, I added a rim at the top of them. I felt like it was lacking some yellow otherwise. She also, of course, gets the classic rubber hose proportions. And she gets a cute but mischievous pose and expression. It would be perfect for the start of a boss fight. I believe the flower even does this pose, Kagani Coronation, right? I think that's the start animation for him. And I think it's also very fitting for a little clown girl. To finish this, like the Scott Pilgrim one, I added some noise and blurred the line art to fit in with the game sprite. I feel like I might have blurred them a bit too much, but it's fine. This one was pretty easy, a quick one for the end. I do think that there's something missing to truly look like the Cuphead style. Maybe the colors are too saturated? I'm really not sure. But that's all our different art styles done now, so let's meet up at the end screen. After wanting to do this challenge for such a long time, I'm so happy with how it came out. My personal favorites from this batch are the Danganronpa one and Hollow Knight. I still think my little bug is adorable. I'd love to hear your favorites down in the comments. And feel free to request more art style for me to do. If you guys enjoyed this video, I am definitely down to do a second one. As usual, if you'd like to support me, I have my commissions open, as well as a Ko-fi page with different commissions options. Links for both are down in the description. Thank you so very much for watching till the end, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye!